Tuning in to WJOB AM 1230 and 104.7 FM, Hammond, Indiana. I'm Verlie Suggs, the host of the East Chicago Show here live on WJOB Radio. And I am so pleased to have with me two guests this morning. I have Keith Selvie. He's the former Director of Public Works for the City of East Chicago. And we have Doug Powers. He's the new city planner for the City of East Chicago. And, of course, we have Ryan Lomax from our multimedia department. He is on the camera, so you will be seeing this on the government channel as well, Channel 21, if you have cable. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Great. It's good to have you, Keith. I've had you here before,
Yes,
and, of
ma'am.
course, you've been on with Steve as well.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you're very familiar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have a new announcement to make.
I do.
People are familiar with you because not only did you grow up in East Chicago, you went to school, I think, Bishop Knoll?
That's correct.
Right, and Bloomington. And
Correct.
a whole bunch of things. I've known your family. I knew your aunt, Leela Stallings.
Yes.
And so it's always good when you have people who grew up in the community leave, go off, and then come back.
That's correct.
And want to work in their community and do good things. And I have to applaud Mayor Copeland for always recognizing that talent and making sure there are opportunities in the city of East Chicago for members such as yourself.
Thank you.
So you have an announcement to make today?
Yes. So I was promoted just recently to a new position for the city. My position is the project manager. I'm the director. What that particular role entails is that I'll be overseeing all city projects, all of the logistics that entail in each project. The projects themselves are going to be run by more than likely the engineer. We're looking at the water department, department heads, as well as some of the consultants. So I'll be overseeing their projects, making sure that, two things happen. First, we stay on schedule, stay on budget, and as well as we're making sure that the schedule of values is being followed to the contract.
Great. Well, I want to remind our listeners out there that if time permits, we will take phone calls, and the number is 219-845-1100. Usually our 25-minute show goes so fast, and we have so much to talk about, and we don't normally have those opportunities to take those calls. But if you want to try and get in, and the time permits, we will take your calls.
Perfect.
So, new promotion.
Yes.
Has the transition taken place yet, or are you still?
It has. I've been in this role, I would say, about a month and a half or so. So I'm getting myself acclimated with all the projects, meeting all the consultants, as well as working with the department heads to get up to speed. And we got quite a few projects going currently, as well as we have a few that's going to be letting here probably in the next month or two. Let
me ask you real quickly, what do you think about yourself has prepared you for this role?
Well, it's a couple of things. At Public Works, it was a job that you have to wear multiple hats. I was actually running projects as the Public Works Director. So I'm quite familiar with running projects, overseeing projects, and so forth. The Public Works side was a huge animal. There was all types of things in terms of responsibility, but it gave me the opportunity to learn. And I learned a lot in my past 4 years as the Director of Public Works. So that in my educational background, I think that I was a good fit for the actual position.
Great, great. Well, you have a new sort of, what would you say? He's not your boss, right? Or are you his boss?
I'm actually above all of the directors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, wow. So you have a new employee, then,
Yes.
someone under you, a new reportee. Doug Powers. He is the new city planner. And welcome, Doug. This is my first time meeting you, and I'm sure for a lot of our viewers and listeners, first time for them to get to know you.
So, yes, thank you. I'm glad to be on the show.
Great, great. So, Doug, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you to East Chicago.
So, absolutely. So, mine has just been a turn of fate.
Doug, we're going to ask you to put your mic right next to your mouth, okay?
Can you hear me?
Yes, my producer, Sonny, is like giving you the thumbs up.
Sounds good. So,
and I'm going to remind you the camera's straight ahead so people can get a good look at you.
So, I'm from Battle Creek, Michigan. I was born and raised there, fifth generation resident. And when I finished my undergraduate degree, I, knew I was interested in city planning. I reached out to the local Michigan American Planners Association, where there they got me in touch with a woman by the name of Christine Zizga, who was the planning manager for Battle Creek. She forwarded me a great internship, which allowed me to, learn about planning itself. And then after that, I went into a graduate school at Michigan State University. I worked on various projects, knew I was interested in city planning, and I worked on the Safe Routes to School initiative throughout the state of Michigan, helping people acquiring grant funding and such. Then after that, I was afforded the opportunity to be a county planner in Elkhart, and I knew my heart really was in the urban planning, and I found this opportunity in East Chicago, and here I am.
Well, welcome. I understand that you and your wife will soon be new residents of East Chicago.
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, great. So tell us a little bit about what that job entails, and what are some of your plans under the leadership of Mayor Copeland for the city of East Chicago?
So what the job entails is I oversee the planning and economic development departments of the city. Planning, a lot of that, we're dealing with the zoning ordinance, where it says what you can and can't do in regards to land use and how that can be done, so we can try to protect everyone's investment in this community. And the economic development department, on that side, we have various initiatives like the Facade Program, which will allow people to, get assistance with, renovating their facade. On top of that, there's other initiatives like the Side Lot Program, which will allow residents to possibly procure the property next to them, depending on if it meets the minimum requirements.
So when we talk about the side lots, because that's something that a lot of residents can probably take advantage of, what are some of the requirements, and what are the fees involved?
So what the requirements are, a lot of it really depends on what the zoning is. So there's different minimum lot requirements per zoning district, and what determines whether or not that lot is deemed buildable. If the lot is considered a buildable lot, then it would not be eligible for the side lot program. People can still submit the inquiries to the planning department, and we will process them. However, the fee structure would be slightly different. How it works with the side lot program is if you are eligible for it, you would be able to procure the property for a donation fee of $250.
So if it's a buildable lot, that means that there's a hope that someone at some point may want to come and build a new home on that property.
Absolutely.
So
That's correct.
Okay. So side lots, a lot of times people are taking care of those lots anyway, and rather than just maintain a property you don't own, add it to your portfolio, so to speak. Definitely. So that's a great program. As far as the Facade Program, let's talk a little bit more about that. Tell us some of the areas that are targeted for the Facade Program.
So one of the areas that has been primarily targeted was the North Harbor Business District. There's a 80-20 grant, rather than the rest of the city has what we refer to as the 50-50. So anyone that's within the region of the North Harbor, commercial businesses should please reach out to the department, because they only have to have that 20% match.
Mm-hmm. And I know that some of the projects that have taken place as far as the beautification of that North Harbor's area, the new building on the corner, the Fitzsimmons building, I understand there's a plan in the works for the Levine building. And so the North Harbor is like really looking like some of the areas that you would find that have been sort of gentrified in Chicago.
Well, absolutely. And so one of the things that's referred to is the North Harbor Business District, both of those properties. And one of the unique areas of that zoning is that it permits mixed use. You can have commercial on the main floor and residential above that. So that's where the idea from the Fitzsimmons really comes into play, because moving to the Levin building or wherever else, that people most likely are going to do a lot of the commercial business on that main floor and not interested in the upper. But if people could potentially live and work at the same place, or offer the opportunity for people to be in the downtown, near where they work or enjoy to play or do business, it's a great opportunity.
Let me ask you this, because they just recently completed the Klein Avenue project, the Klein Avenue extension. You have the North Harbor with new housing opportunities for people. Has anyone taken the time to see how quickly you can get from, say, one of the condos that are in the Fitzsimmons building to downtown Chicago to your job by taking the Klein Avenue extension?
So I believe it would be approximately 40 minutes, depending on, which part, in the main downtown Chicago. But there hasn't been any studies or anything. I know that, the caretakers of Klein Avenue Bridge are certainly looking into this stuff as well, because figuring out what it is that now that bridge is open, who is it, going to truly help and benefit? Is it more designed towards, the commercial commuters like semi-tractor trailers and such? Or, is it friendly for the residents of East Chicago and others that want to do a weekend getaway to Chicago rather than driving through Whiting and such?
Okay. Well, great. That's a wonderful program that we have with the development of the harbor and the close proximity for people who want to go into Chicago. Let's talk a little bit about some of the areas where businesses may potentially locate and what that entails as far as city planning. You have the West Calumet public housing development that was raised and remediated, and now is a potential place for a business to come in. Are you working with any businesses that may be potential to coming there, or are you setting up a plan of what type of businesses you want to attract?
So a lot of times I'm not really setting up or working with certain businesses to try to come into the area. When a business, contacts the planning office saying that they are interested in locating in the city of East Chicago, that's where we try to look and see, what makes sense per zoning district, along with, what it is that they're looking for. Because, there's all kinds of economic studies that, will come into play regarding what type of business it is, whether it, benefits from clustering or being alone from similar types uses. So generally they'll submit that inquiry, or just contact us in one way or another. And, I would then try to work with the individual, figuring out what makes sense if, they have submitted an inquiry for a city-owned property, or if, they're working with a realtor. At those times I may be, touching base with both the realtor as well as the business owner.
So when you were looking for job opportunities and you saw East Chicago pop up as,
Yes.
a need for a city planner, what made you look at East Chicago and say, that's a place where I want to live and work?
So there's a few things. When I was, me and my wife, I don't want to exclude, she's finishing her PhD. So we were trying to figure out where we want to, truly set up the rest of our family. And so what I was looking at was towards the larger cities, because, both me and her, we have families that are across the country and across the world, actually. So we wanted to figure out places that we could, easily commute and keep in contact. And so that was kind of where I narrowed my search. I wanted to stay closer to, my original hometown. And when I was looking at that process as well, I seen that East Chicago had a need for a city planner. So when I started researching the city of Chicago, looking up former, people that had this position, various, things that have happened over the years. And, I seen this as that I'm not afraid of a challenge. And I thought this is a community that I could help, that I have learned various skill sets from the jobs and education that I've obtained. And I realized that some of the things that I had taken for granted that I could, bring to this community, and I believe, it could truly be of help.
Now, Keith, in your role as the new director of the project management, rather,
Sure.
how have you been able to help someone like Doug, who's coming in as basically an outsider, and get acclimated to the city of East Chicago and the community? Because East Chicago is,
Sure.
Its own wonderful community.
Sure.
And
as you had mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm born and raised here in East Chicago. I did go away for a period of time, but I'm quite familiar with what happens and what's been happening in the city of East Chicago. Of course, my parents, James and Shirley, still live in East Chicago, so I always kept a pulse of what was going on. But once I've come back 4 years ago, it gave me an opportunity as being the public works director to basically really truly learn the city. It being from where's the heaviest garbage pickup, where's the trouble spots for snow, so forth and so on. So I've been working with Doug. We actually housed out of the same office to bring him up to speed on some of the past history of what the properties, as well as what are the areas that have shown some type of development interest, as well as just getting them acclimated to here in East Chicago, because it's East Chicago is a little different than some of the other cities. We're financially, set in terms of we have money, which is a good thing because some of our neighboring cities do not. And there's a great opportunity for us to build here. So, I took whatever he needs, I try to help out in terms of just trying to get him some knowledge.
Great. Well, I just, I have to share this story again, and I've shared it before. On Election Day, I was taking a friend to get something to eat at Dunkin' Donuts on Columbus Drive, and I watched a car throw a bag of trash outside their window. And I was like, so disgusted. Yeah. Took her to get something, went through the drive-thru, and came right back that same street, and that trash had already been picked up.
Yes.
And that's one thing. East Chicago is so clean. The beautification projects that have taken place with the flower pots and the lighting and the streetscapes, everything is just really attractive to people who are looking for a place to relocate.
Right. And we're focusing on our projects to enhance that. The street projects, the building projects like Black Stadium, bringing a higher quality of life for the city of East Chicago, giving some activities and so forth. So, we're dealing with some infrastructure. Chicago's been around for a long time. So the infrastructure needs some work. So we're working to do that. So, when you come to East Chicago, in my past life as the public works director, my main focus was I care. I care about the city because I live here. I'm from here. So it's something about driving through a clean city.
Yes.
And there's something about driving through a clean city as well as the infrastructure within the city is nice. And again, with my new role, that's going to be my focus.
Okay, so infrastructure is going to be your focus.
Yes.
What would you like to have as your biggest accomplishment in this new role?
Well, the most important thing is I want to make sure that every project is managed properly. We've had some situations where folks have come in and not done the best on a particular project because once they leave, there's issues. So in my new role, I want to help facilitate and basically oversee each project to make sure that we're getting the bang for our buck, and again, getting the schedule values taken care of. So when the project is over, once I'm long gone, that road structure will be in place. So someone after me can take a look at it maybe 50, 60, 70, 80 years from now.
Oh, okay. So I was just thinking when you said long gone, you weren't talking about in the next 2 or 3 years.
No. I'm talking about infrastructure in the road. I mean, because say, for instance, I was looking at the project over on Guthrie Street. Once we removed some of that infrastructure, some of the actual piping was 1908.
Wow.
So when I say long...
What were those pipes made of?
I believe it was... Well, a couple of them were brick, which was kind of
okay.
There was some brickwork as well as mostly brick along East Chicago because some of the water mains were dated, but mostly brick.
So is that being replaced? Or?
Correct. So basically, the water is being replaced in the storm and sewer lines along Guthrie is going to be replaced. That particular project is slated to be finished. We're looking April-ish. May-ish. It's actually going to be completed. It's been a long road, but again, we see the light. We're pretty much at Hawthorne Street right now, which is probably about a half a block away from completion.
Great. Well, you're tuning into the City of East Chicago show. I'm Verlie Suggs. And, of course, my guest this morning, I have Keith Selvie. He's a former Director of Public Works, and now he is the Director of Project Management for the City of East Chicago. And we have the new city planner, a new transplant to the City of East Chicago, and that's Doug Powers. Doug, what would you like to have as your main accomplishment as a new city planner in East Chicago?
It's a challenging one. I think what I would like to see is my main accomplishment is to have everyone that lives in this community truly love and appreciate saying that they are an East Chicago resident, being proud of that. That I can tell you, since even just a short time that I've been here, I've seen people who came to this community that haven't been here in several years, especially the North Harbor area, and they said it was just so much different than what it used to be, that they didn't have the sense of fear and such that they'd had in the past. And that's really what my goal is for people to not foresee East Chicago in a negative manner, for people to truly be proud saying that they're East Chicago residents, not going somewhere and people suggesting that you should look elsewhere.
Right. And, some of the long-term history, some of that has been pretty much pushed to the back of people's minds because they're just looking at the new East Chicago.
Right.
And it's a place to be proud of.
Right.
Truly. There are a few activities that are going to be taking place here in the city of East Chicago. And one is going to be the Easter drive-through egg extravaganza. It's taking place from noon to 3 p.m. on Saturday, March 27th. That's tomorrow, folks. And you get to take next week, not tomorrow. Sorry. It's going to depend on when you're viewing this, but it is next week. So if you're viewing it next Friday, it will be tomorrow. But if you're viewing it today, it's going to be next week. It's going to be for ages 1 to 13. It's going to be the Parks and Recreation Center entrance at 144th and Parish Avenue. That address is 1615 East 142nd Street. Now, you must be an East Chicago resident, and an ID will be required. So, of course, children don't probably have IDs, but their parents do. So when you bring your children there, make sure you have your identification with you. Also, there's going to be a citywide cleanup. Let's clean up. Team up, clean up. Now, District 1 takes place from April 5th through April 9th. District 6 is from April 12th through April 16th. District 2 is from April 19th through April 23rd. District 4 is from April 26th through April 30th. District 5 is May 3rd through May 7th. And District 3 is May 10th through May 14th. So this be an opportunity for you to clean out your attics, clean out your basements, get all those things that you accumulated over the years or throughout the winter, get them all cleared out so that you have a nice, beautiful spring and, beautiful flowers and green grass to look at and clean, empty spaces. So definitely something to take advantage of, because here's your opportunity. You don't have to worry about trying to haul it somewhere. The city will give you those opportunities to have that cleaned up right in your own district. Gentlemen, of course, our time always goes really fast here, and so I want to give you the opportunity. Are there any final things you want to share about your roles, your new role, Keith, and your new role, Doug, because you're both in new roles?
Right. Right.
Anything you want the residents to know, look at that camera. You have Ryan Lomax over here with the East Chicago camera. So you have all kinds of viewers that are tuning in to hear your final comments.
Well, just real quick, we have several projects that are going on throughout the city. I want to mention a couple of them. Right now, of course, Black Stadium is in its final phase, phase 5. We anticipate the completion of the actual stadium, which has turned out beautifully, at the end of July. We also have the Alder Street and Roxana Street projects going with the realignment of the storm sewers and drains that are probably right around about 20% complete. We have the CSO pumping station project currently going on as well. We're upgrading the infrastructure of all our pumping stations throughout the city. That is in our early stages. We're looking at maybe about 10% of completion, but it's been going very well. Future upcoming projects that you can look forward to in the city is that we have our Homerly Avenue project that we'll be letting here shortly. As well as the New Haven housing development, which is going to be some new prefabricated homes that will be built in the West Calumet area, as well as our Michigan Street project will be getting scoped properly here in the next month or two. So again, moving forward, trying to make sure the city is in a proper space from the standpoint of infrastructure, as well as being able to drive down the street and not have any bumps or potholes or flooding.
Great. And Doug, any final comments?
So absolutely, as a city planner, I tend to work as the gatekeeper for all the departments in regards to various projects and proposals that people are working on. So, what I'm really hoping to do is, create more transparency and, reduce the bureaucracy, make it so that anyone who is trying to start a business, propose some form of development, that they reach out and they don't have to worry about contacting the other various departments and, being transferred back and forth. That let me do that for you. So that way, it's going to be a lot, hopefully, very transparent. On top of that, another thing I'd like to mention is we've been working on the Transit Development District proposed boundary, and I would like to thank all the members of the public for their participation in this. We're finally wrapping up the public comments in regards to what that boundary should and should not include, so we can start moving forward with that process.
Great. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I just want to compliment the Roxana Lagoon. It's beautiful. All the swan that are there. It is amazing to see that beautiful lake right in the heart of East Chicago.
Thank you.
So great job. And just a shout out to the wonderful Irene. We love you, Irene, and just, love you so much. This has been the City of East Chicago show. You can tune in on Channel 21 in the City of East Chicago. We'll be back every fourth Friday here on WJOB AM 1230 and 104.7 FM. Stay tuned for our award-winning